I'm standing right outside the old entrance of the Johannesburg Zoo, which just so happens to be turning 119 years old in March this year. Now that's a very long time. In order to understand all the changes that have transpired over this period, we spoke to Animal Wellness Manager, Mr. Beat Maleva. So today we have a guest in the house. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, good. And how is this gentle brother here?
I believe he's good.
All right,
He's
fantastic.
doing great.
Who is this? And tell us a little bit more about him.
Okay. So with me here, I've got Stinson. Stinson is a barn owl. So Stinson was a rescue, actually, from Alexandra. So we brought him into the zoo so that we could train him. So for the purpose of educational. For the purpose of education, especially in our African communities where we've got a lot of beliefs around owls. So mainly Stinson's purpose in the zoo is for education.
I like the fact that you mentioned that African culture and the beliefs and everything, because both of us are African. Can you tell us a little bit more about the educational side of things? How often do you guys actually do it? Can you speak back to that?
Well, at the zoo, we actually go out two times in a week. On Thursdays and Fridays, we'd have our people out there mingling with the visitors with an owl, with a live owl, of course, because we don't only have Stinson on board, we do have other species, 3 more species that we train to help us with that. So on a Thursday, on Fridays at around 10:30, we are out mingling with the everybody in the zoo. Whoever is interested, we are there. But other than that, we go out to schools, we go out to communities. That's where you'll find us educating people.
Mr. Beats, we have spoken about the owl that you brought along. Can you tell us a little bit more about the evolution of zoos within the last 100 years?
Yes, thank you very much for that opportunity. You see, zoos indeed have evolved. Around 1960, that is where they evolved even more to become modernized, to look into conservation aspects. That's when conservation and education became the key, which means zoos were not just about coming for people to come and see animals. They started to understand that there's a more bigger role that they can play within the world in terms of the animals that were getting extinct. So what happened is that even Johannesburg Zoo was not left behind. It also started to look at expanding the enclosures, whereby you find that the lions used to be in a small area where people just come and see. Now they put them in a bigger area where they can be able to walk around and be able to be free. Then they introduce issues of enrichment, behavioral enrichment. What happens is that you need to then start to mimic the environment where the animal is coming from. But those becomes the logistics in terms of the management.
So it's very well thought out, actually, as in the ecology of it all and mapping out of everything.
Yes, what you do is you create balance. You create a situation where now animals are not just there. They are there, they are free. Most of animals that are around, they were saved because of zoos. Like the Heritahe oryx that existed, they were extinct in the wild. They were bred in the zoo and reintroduced back into the wild. And there are organizations that are still, zoos that are still doing that to the extent. Now, when you see the Heritahe oryx in the wild, you must thank the existence of the zoo.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the educational aspects of the zoo and how that pertains to the greater environment and communities?
Let me give you an example about Johannesburg Zoo. We have a department that focuses on education and conservation. That department goes out to schools and they invite schools into the zoo. Because we are very lucky, we have an artificial wetland. So we have programs that are linked to Water Week. What happens in that, because most of animals that we have, they also come from the wetland environment. like the Picas Gills projects that we have, like the wattle crane that we have, like the frogs that we have, other frogs. Now what we do is we bring them in, teaches them why these wetlands are important.
Do you think that's also partly because of institutions like your Peters and the increased animal rights movement within the years? How much of an influence have such advancements had within the zoo?
You see, some animal rights group they don't believe in the zoos, partly because they have their own view in terms of what must happen. But they all hold their views. It is up to us as zoos to do good to the community so that we can demonstrate ourselves.